Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And ahead of the Halo World Championship in just a couple of weeks' time, there was a very controversial format revealed last night that many pro players, including OpTic's FormaL, were not too happy with. They were calling for changes immediately, and would you believe it, within just a few hours, those changes were indeed actually made. The pros are very happy about it. Maybe other esports leagues should think about taking note. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to dive into today. Firstly, the subliners, another confirmation for them. We saw the day before yesterday that Hydra has been re-signed. On what deal, for how long, we don't know. It'd be really nice to be able to see, even if we don't know the salary, because of course there's been the talk lately, should we have the contracts be public, right, in terms of how much these players are on, but it would at least be nice to see what sort of deal they've signed, as in, are they on a 1 year plus one, like there's been the standard the last couple of seasons? Are they just on a straight up, because now they can sign up to 3-year deals, right? Like a 3-year guarantee deals. So if there is a 3-year guarantee deal, unless it's stated publicly, as Los Angeles Guerrillas did with Spart and Arcitys, it'd be good to be able to see it somewhere, right? And actually on the CDL website, be able to access that information. So even if we don't know how much money Hydra's getting paid, we have a good idea whether he is going to be, the 3-year deal long-term piece that subliners were intending him to be, it seems, at the start of this off-season. But he'll be joined yet again by KiSMET. Had to keep their dog in, as they say. So honestly, I thought the KiSMET Hydra duo at the end of last season was absolutely fantastic. One of the best SMG duos, honestly, in the game. Their hardpoint was insane. And, well, honestly, thanks to KiSMET a lot of the time. It's really great to see how KiSMET has turned his career around, because he was on the Paris Legion back in Modern Warfare, and that usually doesn't end too well. There are only 2 players in Paris Legion's history that have played on the organization and are still in the league going into this season. One of which, of course, being Donny Temp, still on Paris, or now as is Vegas, and the other being KiSMET from back in Modern Warfare. Now, got a shot on subliners and really made the most of it last season. And they really, well, they fit each other very well, right? KiSMET, ultimate dirty work player, really doing whatever it takes in the hardpoint, getting ridiculous hill time, and Hydra can be the slayer, and KiSMET can be the aggro guy if needed. So, honestly, it worked really well. Yes, they have the leadership at Crimsix and the like, and this season they don't necessarily have the same leadership. You could argue if Skies and Priest are the remaining 2, but it's still pretty cool to see KiSMET getting back on this team. And honestly, this roster, I really have no idea how to predict how well it can do this season. I think a lot of the top teams, the FaZes, OpTics, Thieves, even like Toronto, Minnesota, and Seattle, they all should be pretty good, top 6, top 8 range at worst. New York, I really don't know. I feel like this team could either flop, but like at the same time, there is going to be a huge amount of potential within this team. So like, I guess we'll have to see how it works out, but I'm pretty happy that KiSMET is returning to the team. I really don't think there was any viable upgrade out there for KiSMET, and he has absolutely earned his spot on this team with the crazy impact he had towards the end of last year. And actually, I'm pretty sure out of all the drama, KiSMET came out looking the best, because after all the Crim versus Hydra and Paul drama was going on, even with the coaching staff, KiSMET was just putting his head down and dealing with it and getting the job done. And I think he came out of that whole drama looking incredibly good, and understandable they've wanted to bring him back yet again. Just I thought I'd mention this here real quick, because Nature released this like energy drink yesterday, which is a pretty cool thing. I think he's been planning this for quite some time, and I saw some leaks about it because they kind of put it up on the side of the 100 Thieves compound a couple of days ago now. But even Nature tweets this out, right, with the whole Doug kind of doing the ring thing. So I just do wonder, because obviously the internet moves rather quickly, but how quickly will people move on from the Doug thing? Because, okay, yeah, it's easier to move on from the whole Doug Nadia drama, but when there are meme potentials like this with the ring, and then of course Doug, well, Nature tweets this out, and Doug even says fanboying right now in the replies, like, it's absolute gold dust, to be honest. Let's talk about this whole Halo World Championship drama then. So just over a week ago now, we saw that the OpTic Halo team won the $350,000 HCS Orlando event. FormaL has won every single event he's ever attended in Orlando, 5 out of 5, 2 in Halo, I believe, 3 in Call of Duty, including, of course, the Call of Duty World Championship back in 2017. I guess they go into the World Championship as favorites in just a few days' time for the $1 million tournament that's going to be held in Seattle. So pretty cool stuff. The Halo season has been very strange. There was like a massive break in the middle of the season for seemingly no reason, but it's back. Orlando, the World Championship is coming up very soon. Now, last night they confirmed what the format will be for the tournament. So there's going to be a 16-team pool play situation into a double elimination championship bracket. The top 12 placing teams from Orlando that just happened, regardless of region, will qualify for pool play. Then, out of the teams that didn't place in the top 12, the top 2 from each region will go into an 8-team play-in bracket at the World Championship. So the top 20 teams in the world effectively get to go to the World Championship, and then if you weren't in the top 12 at Orlando, you then have to fight through a play-in, and then 4 out of those 8 get through to the top 12 teams, and then join those top 12 teams in a 16-team pool play play situation with 4 groups of 4 round robin. Now, this is where things got kind of, concerning for many pro players here. The top 2 teams from each pool will advance to the championship bracket. The bottom 2 teams will be eliminated from the tournament. Usually you would see in a regular pool play situation that we've seen in pretty much every Halo event so far this season, that if you come 3rd in your group or whatever, then you can still advance. You just go to the losers bracket for the remainder of the tournament. And this is really how it used to be done in the Call of Duty World League World Championship several years ago, before the CDL existed, where they would have the bottom 2 would go home, the top 2 would advance. But that was a 32 team tournament where 16 teams would advance to the championship bracket, which already, like, that's a lot of teams already, right? And if you fail to make it out of your group, then, aBeZy is going to say here in a second, that was kind of on you. Whereas in this case, right, if you've got, the top 16 teams in the world, that's already a pretty elite caliber selection. And then to go down from 16 just to 8, especially because in these kind of round robin groups, there are some really obnoxious tiebreakers that can happen here, and I'll explain one of them here in a second. So the pros weren't happy about this. They played the entire year with the group plays working as, like, if you do go 3rd in your group or whatever, at least you've still got another chance. You can fight your way through the losers brackets in the championship brackets, but it wasn't going to be the case here at the World Championship, right? And we saw this come out from Snipedown. I was going to hold off, but whatever. The world's format for Halo is terrible. Why are we getting barely any matches? Saying that for the rest of the season, there's been a lot going on, all the group play, then, the bracket play is massive, whereas here it was just going to be straight down to an 8-team double elim bracket with very few matches for the rest of the weekend. Only the top 2 across 4 pools make it into bracket play, bottom 2 eliminated. This is all decided off 3 best of 5 matches for this high of stakes. This post isn't meant to attack the devs. I just want to bring light to the situation. I feel like we are missing out on storylines and event build-up to just rush straight into the finals. And then even Spartan, also from FaZe, comes out and says the following, says we should do some sort of emergency meeting about this format, saying that he speaks pretty much on behalf of every single player. Like, all the players will agree that this format needs to be changed to not be able to just do 3 pool matches and be done for the biggest tournament of the entire season, especially because previous tournaments didn't have a format just like this. A losers round 1 for 3rd place in pools needs to be added for competitive integrity in order to ensure the best teams are making the tournament as competitive as possible, he goes on to say. And even Snipedown continues saying, make pool play a best of 7 at least, considering what's at stake and what all these teams have played for to get here. Doesn't seem right to cut that many matches yet not make it somehow, right? So I think that's a pretty interesting statement, that potentially making pools a best of 7 could allow for at least the teams that get out of the pools in that situation probably are the absolute best of the best, and the tiebreakers are a little bit easier because there's more maps in play, such that you wouldn't get these crazy tiebreakers involved where map count really comes into play. Now, this of course will remind many in the Call of Duty scene of what the World Championship used to be. As I say, there used to be 32 teams from around the world. They would do 8 groups of 4 teams. The top 2 would advance to a 16-team double elim championship bracket, and the bottom 2 would go home. I'm pretty sure the group play would be done Wednesday, Thursday, and then the championship bracket of 16 teams would be done Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, the Halo World Championship is much shorter. It's only, I believe, a 3-day event, which means you've got to do a lot in a short period of time, which is understandable why they thought, okay, let's try and shorten the Sunday, so that's like the Sunday's the real big event, maybe there's a show match or whatever going on there before the championship grand final, and therefore we can cram everything in over the other days. Whereas in the previous events, right, they've had many matches on Sunday ahead of the grand final. Now, what used to happen in COD, and honestly, I didn't really like this format. The most famous example, of course, is aBeZy's team. There was Evil Geniuses in the 2018 World Championship, where OpTic did not lose a single match in their round robin groups, apart from they got 3-0'd by Evil Geniuses, the team that went on to win the World Championship. So they were 2-1 OpTic in the group. Evil Geniuses were 2-1, and there was another team, I don't know if it was Elevate or something, they were also 2-1. And OpTic lost the tiebreaker on map counts, and therefore OpTic, despite being 2-1, because it was a 3-way 2-1 series count tiebreaker, they ended up 3rd in their group, and therefore they went home, despite the fact that they literally only lost 1 series to the eventual tournament winners. So yeah, I think aBeZy has a point to some degree. He's saying, look, if you couldn't get out of a bracket with 32 teams, then that's on you. But at the same time, the way that the tiebreakers can work really do make these kind of 4 team groups, round robin type situations far from optimal. So to a certain degree, I'm happy we've moved away from them now in Call of Duty, but of course the World Championship we have today is far from the 32 team event that it used to be. And of course, well, Halo are trying to maybe adopt a similar thing, but of course on a much smaller scale. Going from 16 to 8 is much different on the same format than going from 32 down to 16. Now, Dashy says from 343 Industries, we are looking at the Halo World Championship format to see what we can do. Heard the feedback loud and clear. Wouldn't expect a big overhaul at this point, but hoping we can make some minor tweaks to have a meaningful impact. And as FormaL says, just do the right thing. So he's pretty clear that, he aligned with the other pros that this format indeed should be changed. I'm sure FormaL, is going to had enough of what happened a few years ago, the Call of Duty side, and doesn't want that to happen again. And then, would you believe it, Dashy and the kind of Halo guys come out with the following just a few hours after they released their initial format and all the feedback came through. Format update for pool play. Old, the 3rd and 4th place teams would be eliminated. Now, 3rd place team goes to elimination bracket round 1. 4th place team is eliminated. No change to the play-ins. Thanks for all the feedback. Goal is to always do the best we can. As with a major decision like this, there are trade-offs. More matches on B stream rather than just focused on the mainstream. No time for a show match, and then more matches on Sunday. So it's interesting stuff, right? The kind of trade-offs. I guess they were kind of hoping that they could have less matches on Sunday, really make a big show of the grand finals by eliminating many teams early. But of course, for the competitive integrity point of view, and that's the thing, at least giving the 3rd place team a chance, I think makes sense, because if there is that crazy tiebreaker where 3 teams are 2-1, and one of them gets eliminated on a map count basis, that never feels good, especially for a world championship. But in that situation, the 4th place team is always 0-3, at which point they deserve to go, right? So I do think this is kind of a good compromise to ensure that if there is a 2-1 tiebreaker in a group, then the 3rd place team that may have just lost one series to the eventual winners doesn't go home, as we have seen in tournaments in the past. So honestly, this is crazy stuff, in fairness, especially coming from watching the CDL a fair bit. The fact that if the CDL needs to take feedback on board, and the CDL has taken feedback on board and has in the past changed the format as a result of kind of criticism from the fans and pros and the like. But if it's to occur, it's going to take a very long period of time. They released this format, of course, just 2 or 3 weeks before the World Championship for Halo, and we saw last season in the Call of Duty side, they released the format for the Challengers World Championship a few weeks before the World Championship in the Challenger side, and they made no changes. All the format discussion was they need to change the amount of teams that are going, all this. The CDL did nothing in several weeks, and within a few hours, Halo's managed to get this done. So just I'm impressed at the agility of the kind of team here from 343 Industries and the MLG, well, maybe not MLG anymore, Esports Engine, whatever guys are kind of running this behind the scenes. It's impressive that within just a few hours, they were able to take the feedback on board and change it in the right direction, whereas let's just say other leagues would have to go through many more processes to get something like that done. And as FormaL says, good job, right? So yeah, interesting stuff. FormaL and others calling for a change. Within just a few hours, the change occurs, and it sets things up all rather nicely for the Halo World Championship in just a few weeks' time. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. If you guys want something else to watch, check out the worst donuts in COD history over at the Breaking Point channel. I thought iLLeY did a great job editing this together. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. And yeah, this was one of the cracking examples here of Zuma and Detach that had a duo nut back in the New York Subliners days during Modern Warfare. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.